find all the peril that you used to had a hard time trying to find one. But you know, God is good. And I told the devil, get thee behind me. Because I'm going through. My father used to say a song, loose his Satan, I'm going through. I'm not going to be with you very long. I'm going to want you to go into the word, go into the book of Luke. Began that man ought to always pray and not to faint. Turn around, look at your neighbor and say, neighbor, if you don't worry, don't pray. If you worry, don't pray. And I was thinking about how Jesus was teaching the disciples about it's time to pray. Everything must go to prayer. Whatever situation you're going through, you need to pray. But sometimes we get the spirit of fear. We feel like we can't go through nothing. But by the grace of God, you can go through anything. You know, growing up, coming from a praying home, you know, my father had passed away, but he was a praying man. And I remember many times growing up as a kid, you know, we used to sit down when we was little and we used to hear him praying, you know, hear him crying out. And, you know, sometimes that's a problem. Sometimes we don't want to cry out. We want to give God these 10 minutes prayer. But if you preach out to God and give him the prayer, he'll move. Prayer. But sometimes we thought, thank God for God, how God has been good to me, you know. And when my father was praying, I remember the time my mother was going through the cancer situation, and we was kids, we didn't know who was crying, worrying about. But my father was always, he would pray, and he would go in a secret closet and cry out to the Lord. He never fainted because he know God is in control. And I came to tell you today, whatever situation, how tough it is, you can make it through prayer. Because prayer is power. See, we want to put prayer on the side. We want to think we can do everything on our own, but we can't. That's not true. God, it's time to pray, because he is worthy to be praised. And can I really witness today? As I look back over my life, God has been good to me. I know through prayer, I made it through. When I look back over my family situation, when we was down and out, I remember when I had a job, we was married, when we first came here, we didn't have no job. But through the grace, prayer moved. It's time to go on our knees and go to the Holy Land. When we get down on our knees, not no 10 minutes pray. Sometimes cry out. You may have to fall down on your knees sometimes and give God the praise because he is worthy to be praised. It's time out, church. We are last days when we ought to pray and not faint. We thank God for so many things, but we think we can get it without prayer. But we need to go through prayer and let God have his way. I came to tell you today, as a living witness, prayer changed things. I'm going to tell you about my testimony. A few years ago, I went to a hospital. Simple surgery. I had a hernia surgery. I wound up staying in the hospital longer than I think. But my father was a praying man. He said, doctor, I know God got it in control. Whatever situation, you gonna bring him through. Prayer will is the key to the kingdom. Sometimes you gotta try sometimes. Sometimes you gotta get down on your knees and tell God about it. You have to cry on and say, Lord, I thank you for what you're doing. God, I thank you. Whatever situation, if you got a rebellion child, prayer will change things. If you got problems in your home, prayer will change things. God is good. Prayer will change things. We need to go back, but we got some lazy Christians now. We don't want to pray. We want to sit down and complain all the time and whine and moan all the time. And thank God they don't hear. But that's why we're in the same situation. But we don't want to pray. We need to get down and cry out to God like never before. Jesus is soon to come. And at every time we need to pray, prayer is now. With God Almighty here to see. It's time to pray and cry out. Time to put God first. Sometimes God can prove